Welcome back. Larry King Live. It's a primetime CNN program, an overnight radio show. And this morning, it's Larry King live at 11 here on Channel 4. Hi, Larry.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
I'm fine. Larry, you've got some pretty deep roots in South Florida. Do you remember you and I actually kind of worked together for a while?
I sure do. Channel 4 is embellished in my heart. I spent 20 years in Miami, broke in Miami, and some of the best years of my life were spent right where you are at TVJ.
We're going to get into talking about your special in a minute, but there is a rumor around here that Tony Segreto got his start in television as your makeup man.
Tony Segreto, this has never been told before. I might as well tell it now that I don't live in Miami anymore. Tony Segreto was found as a foundling. He was a three-day-old baby, left at the doors of Channel 4 on North Miami Avenue, and the then general manager, Bill Brazil, took him in. Ralph Rennick spotted him and says, "That's definitely sports." And they raised him. Tony Segreto was raised to be a sportscaster. He was injected with special fluids from Switzerland so that he remains South Florida's Dick Clark. That is Tony Segreto, and this is not meant, no, we should tell it too. Right. Tony Segreto is 81 years old. Tony Segreto was there when the Orange Bowl was built, and he lives at Channel 4 since he has no home. He is now, for example, getting coffee for this show. And during, for example, Tony Segreto actually thinks hard copy is news. Tony Segreto has been around a long time. And,
you know, Larry,
the truth should be told, and the Herald has always avoided telling the true story, and they might as well print it now.
I thought this was going to be intimidating, talking to the king of interviewers.
Tony Segreto, he's a special guy, Tony Segreto. Tony Segreto is like just one in a million. There's just no one quite like him, thank God.
Larry, you have interviewed probably hundreds or thousands of people in the last 20 years, from nobodies to stars.
They figured out about, I must have interviewed almost 40,000 people.
How do you prepare?
You know, I try not to. I really, it sounds funny to people, but I like the freshness approach. The less I know, the better. Even when we're on CNN every night or doing the radio show every night, often I'll go to the radio show and don't know who's on. Honest, really? I'll go into television. For example, our TV show tonight I know is about Judge Thomas, but I don't know who the guests are. And I like that. Now, you got to stay, I'm prepared by life. I read my newspapers, I watch my television, I listen to the radio, I'm aware of what's going on in the world. But I don't like to do specific preparation. Like when we did the TNT special, I went to Holland, I did Audrey Hepburn. I didn't know that she was there when the Nazis occupied Holland. That came out during the interview. I like that. And if you have long-form time, like I used to have at Channel 4, or like doing these specials, and you can really get into things, actually, the less you know, the better. Because then you're more curious. If someone's written a book, and I read the book, I'm no longer curious about the book. And no one's ever done the perfect interview, so you have to work the best that fits your style. My style is the least known, the better. In fact, I'd like to do a show where the curtain opens, and when the guest comes out, that's when the audience and I both discover the guest at the same time.
I'm going to learn from the king. I'm going to take the questions that I had written down here and just
throw them away.
Throw them away.
I've never done that. I've never had a sheet of questions. When you do that, the problem, Bob, is often, this is good for young interviewers to know, when you have a list of questions, that becomes like the talk show host's phone call or the disc jockey's record. It's a buffer. It's a help. It's a security blanket. And what you tend to do is not listen to the answer, but look at what your next question's going to be.
Right.
I listen to answers, and from answers usually come questions.
Do you have special kinds of people that you prefer to talk to?
Yeah, or if I get the perfect guests are people who are, I call a 4, not a 10, a 4. If they've got 4 things going for, Sinatra fits this classically. And all 3 of these guests have it. Jerry Lewis has it, Audrey Hepburn has it to a degree, Debbie Reynolds certainly has it. And that is, they have anger, a little bit of anger, a little chip on the shoulder, sense of humor, ability to laugh at themselves, a passion for what they do, and ability to explain what they do very well. If you have those 4 attributes, passion, humor, anger, and an ability to put the layman in your shoes, you can't miss. And that means if you're a ballet dancer or you're the President of the United States, if you have those things, you can't miss as a guest.
Has anyone ever intimidated Larry King? Do you ever get nervous interviewing anybody?
First time I interviewed Sinatra, a little nervous. He was my hero. He didn't do interviews. Jackie Gleason had set it up for me. I was a little scared, but once it started, you start to realize, one, the interviewer is in control. You're in control of this, not me. This is your backyard, not my backyard. And I realized that pretty soon on with Frank. And once you get into it, then it's question-answer. And I'm as curious about Frank Sinatra as I am about Clarence Thomas.
I'm curious about Jerry Lewis. We've only got about 30 seconds left, Larry. Jerry has bought a home here in South Florida. He's going to be moving down here.
Correct.
He's almost become a caricature of himself. Now, you talked with him. What's the real Jerry Lewis like?
He said this was the best interview he ever did. I like him. In fact, the more I know him, the more I like him. Jerry Lewis was, as Gleason said, the funniest 19-year-old that ever lived. What happened to Jerry Lewis? What made Jerry Lewis tick? What caused the breakup? I think we learned all that. I like him a lot, and he's going to do a Nutty Professor 2, and he's going to film it in Fort Lauderdale.
Larry, a real joy. Thanks for being with us.
Always great. See you down there soon.
All right. Larry King, live at 11. We'll be back in a minute. Teresa?